So, tonight's presentation, we are happy to present to you Dr. Jeff Menzise, who will be speaking on African psychology, modern initiation, and African traditions. Dr. Menzise currently serves as a research associate professor with the Morgan State University Institute for Urban Research. He received his bachelor's and master's degree from Fisk University in psychology and clinical psychology. He finished up his clinical training at Howard University, where he majored in clinical psychology with a minor in developmental psychology. Along with his PhD, Dr. Menzise received a graduate certificate in international studies with a concentration on political science and information and culture. He has put his education to work on both a local and global level. Internationally, he has worked with ministries of education in both the Caribbean and West Africa, conducting professional development workshops for teachers, administrators, family, students, and mental health staff. Locally, he has taught thousands of students in methods, philosophy, and science of psychology, as well as various techniques and philosophies of indigenous non-Western populations. He is an ordained multi-faith minister and has been initiated into several ancient and traditional African spiritual sciences, all of which he incorporates into his daily life and healing practice. Additionally, Dr. Menzise is a member of St. John's Lodge, number 3, Prince White Chapter, number 1, Holy Royal Archmasons, and King Solomon's Consistory, number 20, all Prince Hall affiliated in Cincinnati, Ohio. As a scholar, he has presented on a multitude of papers and workshops around the world. He is the author of 5 books and 2 decks of customized African playing cards, of which we have some in the back for purchase after the presentation. And he is also the host of the hit radio show Mind on the Matter. In tonight's presentation, Dr. Menzise will explore the philosophical consistencies found in African spiritual traditions, how they relate to modern-day concepts of African Black mental health, and how modern initiation serves to fulfill this ancient role. As an initiated priest in several African spiritual traditions, he will also provide practical wisdom found in these ancient traditions, showing how they can easily be applied to our day-to-day lives. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Jeff Menzise.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I heard half of y'all. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
That's what's up. I did not pay her to say all of that stuff. I promised her. I'm feeling honored to be here this evening. It's always a blessing to be in the presence of my community, and especially my elders, some of which have been doing the work longer than I've been alive. And that's real. I mean, I feel very honored, very humbled to be here, and very prayerful that I have something worth your while to say to you tonight. I'm not claiming to present anything new. What I'm claiming to do tonight is to encourage us to think about things that all of us may have heard of from one way or the other. I'm here to present my thoughts on certain topics, and as I tell my students in the classroom, passing the course does not require you to agree with me. It doesn't require you to agree with me. Just think. Challenge me, ask questions. If I go too fast, slow me down. If I'm going too slow, speed me up. All right? I'm here as a servant this evening, and I hope I do y'all justice. All right? Y'all with me?
Yeah.
All right. Here's another disclaimer. I don't think I have to make it here, but I will anyway. If y'all get boring on me, I'm gonna get boring on y'all. All right, y'all see that Clear Eyes commercial when the guy starts talking very slow?
No.
I do the whole 2 hours just like that.
Okay. I ain't seen it.
So we're doing that call and response thing, all right?
Yes.
Yes? That's what's up. Come on, be with me, y'all, because I'm feeding off of y'all's energy. All right, so as was presented, my topic today is African psychology, ancient traditions, and modern initiation. As stated, my background is in psychology. And I went through most of my matriculation through undergrad, never hearing anything about Africa, African spirituality, and how it relates to psychology. Then I ran into a guy named Raymond Wimbush. He was a psychology professor. I was actually a biology major at the time.
Whoa.
And he made a statement. He said, if you free your mind, then the rest will follow. I said, word. I said, I'm trying to be freed up. So that very next semester, I changed my major from biology to psychology, and I haven't looked back since. And so he taught a class called The Psychology of the Black Experience, or something like that. And in that class, one of our required textbooks was the ISIS papers.
Wow. Right?
And I'm this dude from Cincinnati, Ohio, pants still hanging down to here, you know, still got all kind of illegal activities going on. Just kidding. Anybody recording? Just kidding. And you know, I mean, I still, excuse my language, elders, and I still thought I was a nigga. I really did. I did what I was told I was supposed to do as a nigga. I walked like I thought I was supposed to walk as a nigga. You know, all these other things were going on with me. And then I got that one little jewel. Said, you free your mind and the rest will follow. Started learning about the ISIS papers, and then got the nerve to bring Dr. Wells into campus with Mr. Fuller. I'm just like, man, quit playing. You know, I mean, and then go throw me the keys and tell me to go pick folks up at the airport. I'm just like, my world is rocking right now. It was one point in time where I was in the van, had Chuck D, Harry Allen, Dr. Wells, Mr. Fuller, James Earl Jones, all in the van at the same time. And Max Roach was there too.
Oh, right. They blessed you.
Max was so laid back, yeah, blood. You know, just so I mean, I'm just driving, listening to these conversations, and slowly began to realize that I had a responsibility that was bigger than myself. You know, I understood now that I need to present myself a little bit better. You know, I might not want to go pick people up from the airport smelling like weed, right? Just kidding. You know, all these different things are going on, and it's this transformative process that's taking place here. And I'm really understanding now, in hindsight, more so than I did at the moment, that I was being grown into my purpose. Right? I had made it as far as I did the way that I did so that I could make it as far as I had made it. Y'all follow me? But then it was time to shed that. It's like a caterpillar who fights to keep crawling on his belly eating leaves all day, right? You know, what sense would that make? You know, it's a lot of anxiety when a caterpillar has to spin that cocoon, right? I'm projecting anxiety. I know if it was me, I'd be nervous as all get out. All of a sudden get this urge to start wrapping myself up like a mummy. Because if you cut the chrysalis open, it is in there like wings folded, just like a mummy. Hang upside down, totally vulnerable to the elements, trusting in the process. And then once I emerge, guess what? No more crawling on my belly. Now I'm flying around. I'm getting it, right? I'm beautiful. I'm going from flower to flower, and I'm doing my thing. No longer worried about getting stepped on. Got to worry about little kids wanting to touch me, powder on my wings, but that's about it, right? It's a transformative process, and in hindsight, I know that that's what I was going through. And so what I did is I decided, I chose, right? I was presented with the option, and I chose to walk the path on purpose from that point forward. It wasn't easy. All kind of, man, you changed. Thank you. That was my response. I would have wasted a whole lot of time and a whole lot of money if I didn't change one way or the other. So, you know, my boys back home calling me, they still calling me they nigga. It's like, man, I ain't been nobody nigga in a long time, bro. That ain't me. But I had to go through that. You know, I started changing my diet. My cousin loved him to life, being my cousin. Man, you want a bite of this? You know, I'm good. But every time it was in my face. And what I learned from that process is this. If you declare something for yourself, I'm no longer going to do X, Y, and Z. Guess what you're going to get the opportunity to do?
X, Y, and Z.
X, Y, and Z, you're going to prove yourself a liar, you're going to prove yourself steadfast. One or the other. And so we have to be careful when we make those declarations. But see, this ain't the stuff that I was learning in psychology. Not in the classroom. This is the stuff I was learning in psychology of life. And then once I understood that the definition of psychology was the study of the soul, another one of them things happened. It just blew my mind. I said, wait a minute, hold on. Western logic and thinking and curricula and textbooks are telling me that psychology is a study of the brain, and human behaviors, right? And so it made it very, very tangible. It said one of these things: if you can't count it, if you can't measure it, if you can't taste it, touch it, see it, smell it, hear it, it don't exist, right? Because we're told that something is what? The scientific method, which means that the only method for science knowing is this. Anything outside of this purview, it's not knowledge. It's not science. It got to be that thing called pseudoscience, right? And so you telling me that when my wife woke up from a dream and said, I dreamt a tree was going to fall and hurt some folks. And then the next day, they got to evacuate her classroom because it's a tree rocking outside her window about to drop. That ain't knowledge. It didn't go according to the knowledge method. That's what science is, right? Skill. The knowledge method. But it was a method that my ancestors have been rolling with for a long time. Sidebar, all set. Deals with the moon, lunar cycles, right? Deals with the ocean, water, waves, altered states of consciousness, dream states, meditation, right? All of these things are directly related. It's the same reason why Yema Ya on the West Coast governs the exact same things that are said on the East Coast. Carl Jung jumped in there and said something called collective unconsciousness.
Right.
But in the psychology classes, they don't tell us that Carl Jung, studied amongst African witch doctors. He said it himself. But you got to dig for that. So I'm a seeker of truth. So one day I'm sitting in the library, so I'm just going to Google wisdom. Wisdom. Carl Jung documentary showed it. They showed this dude in Africa. He said, I couldn't consider myself a healer or something. He said, healer or a high priest or whatever, until I studied amongst the masters in Africa. He said that. Then I said, let me see what Sigmund Freud. I said, like in the African, my brain, Sigmund. I couldn't shake it off. So let me see what dude was talking about, because they were freaking frat.
Yeah.
And so I said, what you doing, Freud? Let me see what you got. I had a serious block for Freud when I was learning it from that way. Then I checked out Freud. Google, not right now, class, but when I did homework. Google Freud in his office. And just take a look at all the statues on his desk. Take a look at the images on his walls of Ramses and the pyramids and the Ibis, Tahuti. Check that out. And then read about what he was praying to every morning in order to be able to interpret symbolism the way that he was. Dream interpretation. The work with the unconscious or with the soul. You see, when we're in psychology courses, we don't get that. A good psychology professor is one that makes you feel transformed by the time you get out of that class. That's a good psychology professor. Why? Because, I'm glad you asked. It's because we're presenting you with information about you. We should be handing you your owner's manual. How many of y'all got an owner's manual with your high-tech pocket computer phones? Everybody got one. We ain't reading them, but we get them, right? We get them. It tells you play by play what this thing can do. Did you get that for you? No. Get sleepy up in here. And I ask a question. I'm literally asking questions when I ask a question. All right? I want to hear somebody talk to me. You with me? Thanks, sis, because I'll fall asleep right on my feet.
We didn't get it, but it's out there available.
It's out there available. Yes, it's out there available. In fact, it's in there available. Right? So within, so without. And so as a psychology professor, that's what we're supposed to be doing. And all this is still by way of introduction. And so I was teaching at an HBCU at one point in time. And I taught the intro to psychology course exactly like it was outlined in the book, with one difference. I infused African Black psychology throughout the curriculum. I reserved the second week for Black and African psychology. Just the second week, that's it. 3-day course, 3 classes. That's not bad, right?
Right.
Wrong. Wrong. Right? My Charlie Murphy voice, wrong. I got called in. And it said, the question was, somebody told me to ask you what kind of psychology you're teaching. Second week was African Black psychology. The 3rd through 13th week dealt with nothing but exactly what's in the textbook. I even used a little CD-ROM to do the PowerPoints just so that I could make sure, hey, I'm only doing what y'all told me to do. Except when I got to developmental psychology and started talking about Erik Erikson, guess what else I said? I told on Erickson, and I did it with his own words. See, I'm like I don't know what the proper word is, but I'm addicted to knowledge. And so I like buy books and stuff like all the time. Like I'm like, y'all know Dr. Greg Carr, right?
Yeah.
So this dude, I ain't seen it, but dude got books stacked to the ceiling from what I understand. And the heaviest thing to move when he got to move were books. And so I'm trying to beat his record. It's like a little silent little, nudge. But so I'm buying these books, and I found a book by Erik Erikson called Childhood and Society, right? And in Erik Erikson's book, Childhood and Society, excuse my language, elders, he said something to the effect of those anal sadistic niggas. He said that.
Say it again.
Them anal sadistic niggas. Anybody in here took a psychology class from me? So y'all know the eight stages, right? That's all we get, right? It's trust versus mistrust, all the way up to that last stage, right? We'll never hear nothing about that though, right? And so I would do stuff like that. When we're talking about the psychoanalytical approach, I would talk about Freud in it. These are the things I would do. So that's the type of psychology I was teaching. Because I was more interested in developing a class of thinkers. Because I understand that we're raising the next generation by our presence alone. Y'all get that?
Yeah.
By virtue of where you are and how you're there, you're impacting the other people that are there, especially the little ones that are watching us.
Right.
And so Mr. Fuller taught me years ago. He said, you want to be able to say and do the absolute best thing possible whenever you're saying or doing anything. In other words, you want to show up the best you that you could possibly be showing up. Yeah, it's like getting dressed and, y'all hate getting dressed and not going out though, right? But sometimes it just got to be that. Look good for you, right? Look good knowing nobody else gonna see you. If you're picking your nose in private, do it in public too. Right? Be you, but be consistently you, whatever it is. I need to work on that. Work on it. Y'all following?
Yeah.
This is that psychology piece. And so throughout this presentation, I might not necessarily deal with psychological jargon and all these, I don't do well with the information part of things. I do very well with the understanding part of things.
Okay.
Y'all following what I'm saying? And so I'll present to you by way of understanding and not necessarily have a whole bunch of information and, reciting a bunch of different stuff for you, if that's okay. And I understand it takes all kinds. I think you taught me that, Dr. Hampton. He's my clinical supervisor, by the way. And he helped to raise me clinically, in psychology all through my graduate studies at Howard. And so he probably know me better than most. Because he, as a clinical psychologist, them folks, they kind of push your buttons when they try to see who you are. He tried. He got me though. I appreciate you, Doc. But so that's what I'm gonna be dealing with, all right? More right brain stuff, less of the left brain. I'm also a symbolist. One of my elders back in Nashville, she actually helped to initiate me into Olokun. So I'm a priest of Olokun, all right? And she's also a priest of Olokun. So she birthed my vessel from hers. So she told me this the other day. She said, in Ifa philosophy says to pass your words through 3 gates. First gate, is it true? Second gate, is it necessary? And the third, what I want this said to or about me. Said if it can't pass through those 3 gates, it shouldn't pass past your lips. And so my presentation tonight, I'm hoping to keep in accord with this. This is my prayer tonight, is that my words are able to pass all 3 of those gates before they come out of my mouth. Y'all with me? All right, and this is something to live by right here. Especially that last part. We say do unto others as you would have them do unto you, right? And I think the missing part of that, because them folks are always fragmenting and stuff. The next part to me would say, because you are doing to yourself. If I'm the type of person that will leave my brother hanging, then I'm the type of person that's going to get left hanging by my brothers. Y'all follow? Because according to the African worldview, we are all connected anyway, right? We're mirrors of each other, right? I was just recently appointed the president of the DCABSI. So our past president, Dr. Fia Lily Shaka. Thank you. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. I was our first event co-sponsor with RKG. I really appreciate it. Y'all allowing us to ride the coattail and be a part of this event in more ways than one. Really, really appreciate that. Sorry? DCABSI, Association of Black Psychologists. And so what happens is that
You were appointed,
I was appointed, yes.
supposed to be elected.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'll take a vote, though, if necessary. I ride with my community and my elders. If y'all say I need to be voted in, I'll set it up. I'm serious. I have no problem with that at all. So anyway, she and I have been talking about it for several years, you know, off and on. She carried that heavy for like 4 years. You know, she carried the presidency for 4 years. And so we talked about it. She said, come on, Jeff, come on, Doctor. So I said, all right, cool. So she called me on January the 2nd this year. Who knows what the significance of that date is?
That's
Dr. Wells.
It's
transition.
the date that Dr. Wells in transition. And she did it intentionally on that date. She said, Brother Jeff, I know that you and Dr. Wells were pretty close, and I think that it's time for me to go ahead and pass the baton, and we're going to do it on this day. I said, this day right now? She said, this day right now. And so, in honor of Dr. Wells and all of the African-centered scholars that have ever come before me, you know, I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. So let's get started. Now we're going to get started.
Ellie.
Pretty heavy quote here. The society that separates their scholars from their warriors will have their thinking done by cowards and fighting done by fools. Woo-wee. Take a second with that one. Take a second and sit with that one. It's thinking done by cowards and it's fighting done by fools. See, that's that segregative thing. That's that separation thing. That's that either or thing, right? That's that it's got to be this or it's got to be that type of thing. As opposed to, I'm sorry.
Sounds like America.
Sounds like a whole lot of things. It sounds like the epitome of the Western worldview. That dichotomous thinking, right? And it doesn't. I've been on the continent of Africa and ran into folks that's going, you know, what they say. And I was in Gambia. I think it was. I read How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. I think it was that, or either the destruction of Black African civilization. So either Walter Rodney or Chancellor Williams said, the colonized African is more Frenchy than the French and more British than the British, right? And so you got to look a little deeper now, you know, rather than casting these broad nets over this type of people is that way and that type of people is this way. But anyway, when you have a situation like this, you're looking for doom, right? When you've got academics, when you've got teachers that are cowards, right? Then you have the necessary vehicle for miseducating the masses. Y'all get it? Yeah. When you have instructors who are afraid to open certain books for fear that it might shift their own perspective, you're setting us up for further miseducation and mental slavery. Y'all get it? And then when you got these folks out here that just diesel, but just dumb as all get out. Then you got folks that's gonna fight at the drop of a dime, and we still in trouble. Y'all get it? And so it's this holistic approach thing that we're talking about here. That's African psychology. That's how our worldview deals with this study of the soul. It sees it not as fragmented pieces, but as an entire collective. And each part of that collective could be attended to. And that you would likely benefit by attending to all these various aspects of your soul. Y'all with me? Yeah. Cool. African psychology. And so I was trying to find definitions of African psychology. I wanted a really concise definition of African psychology. And I got this. This is like that concise definition right here. This is the concise definition of African psychology. It's called Seeking the Saku, all right? And it's like the collective writings of Baba Wade Nobles. When you get a chance, get that book and read it so you know what African psychology is, all right? Yes, no?
What's it called again?
It's called Seeking Saku.
Okay.
By Baba Wade Nobles. This is a collection of all of his writings. From his very first paper as a graduate student to some more recent writings that he did. Saku, yes, S-A-K-H-U. Wade Nobles. And I said, okay, I need something more concise. And so then I picked up our Shepsu, our honored ancestor, Asa Hilliard's book, Sabah, The Reawakening of an African Mind. This is one of the books that got me through grad school. I was citing this and Stolen Legacy all through my thesis. And yeah, it was pretty fun too, because I like to watch my committee squirm. And you know, I even did my dissertation, I was like, I had Wells and all through it. And that was at Howard. And I actually had a committee member drop off my committee. She said, Jeff, I can't sign off on this. I said, why not, Doc? She said, because you make it seem like all white people are bad. I said, Doc, you white and I love you. She couldn't do nothing. She had to sign my paper. She had to sign my paper. And then beyond that, you know, I'm supposed to be, you know, see, I think about that. I just disclosed that, right? to a room full of revolutionary folks. There is no contradiction there.
Right.
Right. There's no contradiction. It's the truth. You know, she was trying to shut me down, and I mashed it out with pure love.
Right.
Please, yes, I know what I know about your ancestry. Yes, I know what I know about how y'all carrying things right about now. But I'm also clear enough to know that if I don't get you to sign this paper, I'm clear enough to know that not everybody does the same thing the same way. Y'all with me? And so she signed up, but then she wasn't available for my defense date. So the way that God works, the way our ancestors work, is that there was a brother. I went to one of my friend's dissertation defenses, and there was a brother there on his committee. And when she said, you can either reschedule it or you can find somebody else. What y'all think I did? I took that out, I was gone. So I went and knocked on the brother's door and showed up. He was available for me with less than a week's notice. And so I got by. But I had all that stuff going on in my dissertation, in my thesis, in my academic study. And what it did, it helped to grow me and grow me and grow me and grow me and grow me. And what I feel like is that my ancestors put like this bubble around me to kind of protect me. Now, what I'm talking about here, I'm not necessarily talking about me. I'm talking about the ancestral works. I'm talking about what diving headfirst into our culture and our spiritual studies does for you, right? It is a practical thing. It's that type of information that changes you. It's the type of information that kind of restructures your experiences and your expectations of life, right? Now, we've been at this thing for a very, very long time. How many of y'all have seen this image before? So what we got going on here, on this panel here, on this side, we have brain structures, right? We have the interior brain structures, you got the corpus callosum, you got the thalamus there, you got the pineal, the pituitary gland, and then over here, you got an ancient, you know, it's like a remake of ancient inscription in Kemet. And somebody in their brilliance said, whoa, this Jed pillar here looks like the spine, right? And when you understand that Heru deals with consciousness to a certain degree, you know, then you can also start to interpret all this other stuff going on here, especially if you can take this lateral view of the brain. Pretty slick, ain't it? This is our ancestral stuff. So when them folks start coming at you, telling you that your folks ain't did nothing, and they ain't no nothing, and all this stuff is pagan, and it's heathen, and it's wicked, and it's bass backwards. I said that like that on purpose.
Right.
Try not to cuss too much. And then, you know, we can cite, you know, we can go back and we see how it's been chiseled in stone. I mean, as Brother Browder shows us all the time. Our stuff is there. Can't touch it.
Right.
Can't do nothing with it. So the thing about the truth is that it's going to exist. You can't erase the truth. You can surround it with BS. You can cover it. You know what I mean? You can point people in the opposite direction of it, but guess where it's going to be? Where it is. You can't do nothing with it. So, I want to keep moving. I know I get long-winded sometimes. You got 4 areas of psychology I want to deal with. And these 4 areas are identity, personality, consciousness, and emotions. All right, so those are the 4 areas that we're going to cover today, really quickly. And when we look at these 4 areas, I'm going to talk about it from the African worldview. All right? That's how we're going to deal with the African psychology, from the African worldview. So identity. Identity basically is who you are, what you are, how you are, right? All is based on what you think for yourself, right? What you think about when you are, what you think about where you are. When we're doing clinical evaluations, we have to see the client's orientation. And so we ask them 3 questions, right? We say, who are you? And you should be able to tell me your name. We ask you, where are you? You should be able to tell me the location of where you are. And I ask you, when is it? And you should be able to tell me what today's date is. You know, and so I'm looking for orientation. Typically, if somebody cannot answer one of those 3 questions, there's something going on with them psychologically, meaning that they are disoriented, meaning that they have lost their way in space and time. Think about it for a second. If you can't tell me who you are, there's got to be something going on, right? If you can't tell me where we are right now, something's missing, right? And if you can't tell me that we're in 2017, right? And so later on in the conversation, I'm going to show y'all something from Dr. Amos Wilson's book, The Falsification of African Consciousness, where they did these experiments. They hypnotized college students. I'll tell y'all the rest of it in a little bit. It's pretty slick, though. So with identity, we got all kinds of stuff going on, from pharaoh to laborer.
I remember seeing that one.
From pharaoh to laborer. Ain't it slick?
Wow.
This is what happens. My baby girl was opening a birthday present the other day when her friends got her at school. And this is how I counteract this stuff. And so on the box was nothing but little white girls on the box. I said, dang, baby, ain't no brown girls on the box.
Right.
She's like, dang, I know, huh? It should be. Because the thing is, it's not going to go past, it's not going to just seep into our subconscious.
Right.
It's not just going to find a place to plant itself.
Right.
You know, I'm watching movies with my kids, and I'm pointing out the little product placement commercials in the background.
That's right.
I'm like, oh man, you see that when he opened up his computer? You see that Apple light on the back of that? That's an
Right.
Apple commercial.
Right.
Now he pointed out to me, oh, Baba, look back there. That's a Starbucks commercial. Good. Awareness. Bringing them above that threshold to where the subtle, slick stuff, they can't get in there without them knowing it.
Right.
Y'all follow?
Yeah.
We get to that, that's in consciousness. But look at this stuff. Imagine the kid that's reading this in their book.
Right.
You got the sparrow here wearing a dang old double crown. Bama. You wish. Baba Tony, this would be when who took over? That would be when the Romans. 330 BC. That's Egypt. That ain't Kemet, right? Bama.
They got on the wrong stuff. Huh?
Look at it. That was the thing about guys in Egypt too, by the way. So I watched that movie. I watched it. I went to the theater and I watched it. I didn't wait for the bootleg. I went to the theater. I wanted it on the big screen. I took my son too. And I watched it and I studied films. And when I was watching it, I realized what they were saying in the movie is that these were the replacements. These were the guys that came in and conquered and took over. Because if y'all notice, the only African god of Egypt in that movie was who? Tahuti, right? Thoth, right? Yeah, Tahuti, right? And he said he was there from the beginning. He was the keeper of the records. He was protecting his ancestral records. While all these other folks is running around, fronting like they Ra, you know what I'm saying? Fronting like they Osset, you know, they was fronting. And he was in the lab protecting, he had like multiplied himself, and he was handling business. He was the one holding it down for whenever we woke back up. Because we are simultaneously those waiting ancestors and the ones that they waiting on.
Right. Right.
That's us. And so Tahuti, that wisdom faculty, that insight, that divine knowledge base is out there just waiting on us to say, I'm ready. I'm a vessel that's ready and prepared to carry this. But this type of stuff, we got to burn it out. Dude is an initiate. He should be. We got the leopard skin. I'm going to figure this out in a minute. We're experiencing a process to where we're so out of touch and have such a bad, nasty taste has been placed in our mouth about ourselves that we'll go to great lengths to do things other than self. Y'all with me? And so let's go back to that orientation question. Who are you? If you cannot answer that, there's something wrong. And it goes beyond your name when we're talking about you as your true self. It goes beyond you being able to tell me your name. Y'all notice, like, if one of our Native American brothers and sisters in the room and I ask, who are you? You know, they give you the name. They talk who their mama is, their grandmama is, their grandfather is.
Right,
we might be here for 10 minutes listening to the names that they're rolling down because that's a connection that's there. Most of us, me personally, I can name my great-great-grandmama and great-great-grandfather, and that's as far as I can go. That's as far as I can go. We fragmented, y'all. African psychology, to me, African psychology in terms of African spirituality, that's the final frontier. That's the final frontier. We talk about what is it going to take. We say it's economic. We got to band together and protest. We got to, oh, that's good. It takes all kinds, right, Doc? But there is a most efficient and most effective means for accomplishing the goal. In fact, I'm going to say, Tony, hey man, you know this room better than any of us. Where that light switch at, bro? Right? Many ways we can get that done. And so all I'm saying is that our African spirituality, claiming that without apology now, understanding what it does for us in our mental health, in our mental well-being, right? What it does for us as physical creatures. I'm talking mind, body, and spirit. What reclaiming our African spirituality does for us will far surpass anything else that we can do. Look at history. What did they work really hard to make sure that we lost?
Ourselves.
Our understanding of self, God, and nature. That's the linchpin. Give you the language. I know folks speak 4 or 5 African languages. Y'all follow? Yeah. I know elders who have sisters coming to them totally infertile. Nothing has worked.
Right.
They mash up some certain herbs and stuff, give them a certain regimen, using divination tools to assess and prescribe and get results every time. Who playing.
That's it.
It's the final frontier, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right.
Without that, to quote the great philosopher Snoop Dogg, you'll never go platinum. Without it, it ain't gonna work. Why do you think they work so hard
Right.
to make us so offended and afraid of our stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Animal sacrifices. You read the Old Testament lately?
That's right.
Leviticus.
Quit playing.
Go.
They got us thinking that our stuff is wicked, and somehow their stuff is okay, and it's the same thing.
Right.
That's right. KFC.
Where was Moses from? I don't even start talking about the slaughterhouses. And then you got kosher ones, right?
That's right, you say.
Halal meat, I mean, when they do it a different way, they do it ritualistically.
You do pray.
Kosher meat and halal meat is murdered ritualistically.
Right.
Right.
Y'all better quit playing.
That's right.
See, Sun Tzu, the art of war, right? He said, you want to appear weak when strong and strong when weak, right? You want your enemy to think that what they got going on is the best thing for them, especially when you gave it to them, right? It's like, and this is, I'm jumping ahead, but it's like if Clark Kent really thought that he was Superman. I'm sorry, Superman really thought he was Clark Kent.
Right.
Right.
Y'all imagine the amount of power he would be wasting, walking around fumbling stuff.
Right.
Y'all get what I'm saying? What's Clark Kent's real name from his planet? Like Kal-El, right?
Halal.
El. It's like a God name.
Yeah.
It's his God name. We've lost our God name. We've grown apologetic for even thinking that we might be related to God somehow. Dr. Wells uncovered that. Black man, black woman, black baby. White man, white woman, white baby. The only way that you're going to get a white Jesus is if you got a white father God.
Right.
That's right.
She covered that. She told us. She said, look to yourselves. She called her book the ISIS Papers, and you know, it ain't but like 2 sentences in the book that tells why she called it the ISIS Papers. It blew my mind when I went back and reread it. I'm like, dang, huh? You know, she talked about Osset. You know, she talked about Osiris and Isis. She's talking about how the Lord of the perfect black, how our ancient ancestors was on it. And somehow or another, by tricking us into turning our back on it, we end up slaves. But we can reclaim it. We can reclaim it real easy. Kal-El, Clark Kent. Which I want you to saw. I couldn't find the black Superman. I looked for it though. I did. There's a couple points of the presentation. I'm like, dang, I got to show this picture. All my revolutionary folks up here showing Superman. Cam. So by lacking an understanding and identity, by having that clean slate, and allowing these folks to rewrite stuff, right? Allowing these folks to put stuff on our chalkboard. My children and I, we went to the new African American Museum of History and Culture. One of my former students works there. She slid us in the back door. And she took us on a tour, and she wanted to take us down to the basement first. And thanks to Brother Browder, I already knew what was down there from my previous conversation. I said, nah, sis, I ain't taking my babies down there. And that's when they talk about, you know, slavery and all this other stuff. I'm good. I ain't seen it myself. But I know I'm not about to expose them to that.
Okay.
Why? Because the ancestry is so much greater than that.
Right.
It started before that again. That's a microaggression. Right. I'm not going to do that to my kids. Yeah, they know about it. My son asked me the other day, Baba, I didn't know the Ku Klux Klan still exists. I said, okay, time for the combo.
Yeah.
Shouldn't it be illegal, though, for them to do that?
They ain't never shut up.
Like, well, depending on if it's justice or just us. Right? It depends on what we're talking about. Yeah, it's immoral. Yeah, it's not correct. But some of those police officers are actually them too.
That's right.
You got to make it plain for the babies, but you got to do it on your terms. Right? My babies ain't going to see this stuff. Not yet. Not yet.
Right.
My babies know how to pour libation, though.
All right.
My baby girl is an initiated priestess of Osset. I mean, Yeba Yah, I said. You know, because my wife, she was nursing at the time when she was going through her initiation. And so our initiators, they do it old school. Right? You know, sometimes you got to wait until after you nurse. No, we did old school. She went through with her mama. Latched on and everything. So now, you know, she up there doing all the work. She doing everything the same way. Right? But, you know, that's just what it is. They did us good, y'all. They did a good job on us. They shook our identity. See, we talk about slavery from the perspective of the economic aspect of it, the political aspect of it, right? We talk about the identity aspect of it, but we rarely ever see this as them working their witchcraft.
Right.
We rarely ever see this as a big old blood sacrifice. We rarely ever, I was watching this documentary called Hitler and the Occult. That's homework, look it up. Look it up, you can find the whole thing on YouTube. Hitler and the Occult. Him and his crew, they was going around the world looking for any type of ancient relic that they could find.
That's right there, true.
Ancient spiritual relics now. Now I ain't talking about like pimp chalices and stuff, you know, with gold adorned. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about like real relics like the Ark of the Covenant. You remember Indiana Jones? Raiders of the Lost Ark? He was fighting against who? It was Nazis, wasn't it?
That's right, that's right.
That's what they was looking for, this stuff. They was up in the Himalayas talking to monks and stuff. So in this documentary, they talk about how the dude that was responsible for running the gas chambers, right? That he was the highest of the occult masters within his SS crew. He was the highest ranked as far as occult mastery is concerned within Hitler's crew. He was responsible for the blood offering. Just look it up for yourself. Don't believe me. But when I saw that, I said, whoa. They're telling us to bring water guns to nuclear battle.
Well, I'm telling you, right?
Our ancestors are waiting in an unemployment line right now, ladies and gentlemen. Got us scared. Got us scared to call on our ancestors. Got us scared to go somewhere to like a Nana-Quabbin or somebody. It's real. The works is real. Our spiritual power is real. They got you scared to go tap it in, though.
Right.
I don't believe it. I mean, if Nana was here, I would go further. But he ain't here. Our works is real. It was more than economics. It was more than trading, right? This was literally vampirism. This is really spiritual science taking place. Reclaiming our spirituality is the final frontier. It's the final frontier. Who knows Nas's real name, by the way? Who knows what Nasir means? It means the protector. Nasir means the protector. Somehow or another, he got tricked. Somehow or another, he got tricked. The protector. Who knows what these are?
Hebrew.
What this one say? This is the Tetragrammaton, right? Supposed to be the ineffable name, supposed to be the name you can't pronounce of God, right?
Okay.
And this one is the one, this is Jesus when they add that symbol to the middle. They're supposed to say Jesus. But the secret in it is what? What does it look like when it's stacked like this?
Human body.
Look like a human body, right? Looks like a person standing there, don't it? And see, that's one of those secrets right there. Like, because usually it's written side by side, right? Going horizontally. When you stand it up, though, when you stack it up, you're looking at a person. What do you think that symbol means?
Reaching to the higher. We are God, the
We are
higher
God.
light.
Doesn't your book tell you that ye are gods? Ain't that written in red? Look to your neighbor and say, neighbor, written in red. What do it mean when it's written in red, ladies and gentlemen? That's what they said Jesus said, right? Although nobody there writing it down. The Gospels is written, but like a long time after Jesus supposed to die. But anyway, I ain't here nor there. It's sacred still. This is one of those secrets, y'all. You are God. God is you. Think about this. 3 major attributes of God are what? Omnipotence, omnipresence, and omniscient, right? So omnipresent means what? Everywhere all the time, right?
Right.
Even you. So there's no way that God is not, if God is in fact omnipresent. So there's no blasphemy in saying that you are God, that God is within you.
Right.
There's no blasphemy there. Right?
Right.
We've been said that. When I get to the personality section, y'all gonna see something. I'm gonna show y'all when I get to personality. We have personality.
All right.
Who saw this movie Split? Woo! If you haven't seen Split, go see Split. So, Split is about this dude. Matter of fact, it's Professor Charles Xavier, the young one. He's playing dude. I don't know his real name. Professor X. Say it again? James McAvoy. So, the whole thing is about dissociative identity disorder, which used to be called multiple personality disorder.
Right.
Now, real science now, and Baba Amos Wilson talked about it too, how when a person shifts into another personality, this personality can have a peanut allergy. Another personality could love peanut butter and not have an allergy, but be diabetic, right? The other one can be very fragile and weak. And these things really take place within the physiology of the individual. Really. And so, because it's in the context of a disorder, it's always perceived as some type of disorder. But there was a psychiatrist in the movie who talked about, or is it really an advancement? Is he really superior? He wasn't in control of it, though. If you're in control of it, then definitely you're superior and advanced. Y'all get it?
Yeah.
It's like right now, if I could turn into that thing, the beast, and climb up all the walls and I'm all diesel, you can't shoot me.
Right,
If
right,
I could do that on purpose,
right,
and at will,
right.
it's a different ball game now, ladies and gentlemen. Do y'all agree? So now check this out. Y'all ready for this? When we talk about personality, we take it old school. So they show you this stuff, but they talk about phlegmatic and all this other stuff in the psychology textbooks. We deal with the elements. Air, earth, fire, and water, right?
Right.
Air, earth, fire, and water. All of which is some type of combination of temperature. H is hot, C is cold, M is moist, D is dry, right? So it's a combination of temperature and humidity. And so when you talk about the zodiac signs, we got air signs, earth signs, fire signs, and water signs, right?
Right.
I say, girl, what your sign is? Say, Capricorn, right? I'm a Pisces. Whatever. You fit in one of these categories. Everything in creation fits in one of these categories. There's nothing that is that does not fit somewhere in one of these four quadrants.
Okay.
So I'm a Capricorn, right? So it's an earth sign,
Right.
right? And so this will be part of my disposition. But through spiritual training and initiation and stuff like that, my goal is to work myself right there to the middle point. Why would that make sense, Dr. Menzise? Glad you asked. What happens is that different situations call for different things, right?
Right.
And so if I'm always a Capricorn,
Right.
I'm always stubborn,
Right.
I'm always slow motion,
Right.
right? I'm always taking forever to come up with a reason, right? Right? Or I think as one of my teacher, Ron F. Alman, talks about, you could be a watery person trying to be a security guard somewhere. That ain't gonna work, right? You're nurturing, you kind of go with the flow,
Right,
you kind
right,
of go.
right.
It's like, hey man, let me talk to you real quick. Okay, you just turn your back and they're robbing your store.
Right.
It ain't gonna work. You got some situations where you need to what? Be able to call on fire.
Right.
Some situations where you need to be steadfast. You
Right.
can't move me right now.
Right.
Right? You got some situations where I need to be wind, meaning subtle. You don't know I'm there until I affect something in your environment. That's how you know the wind blowing. You see
Right.
the trees moving. Other than that, you don't know.
Right.
Oh, yeah, DC, you see the
Arizona
trash
makes
blowing.
sense.
Ain't that true? I got issues with that. Because they got these street cleaning signs all over the place. Don't clean their street, but to tow you.
Right.
That's right, you're right.
Don't get me started. I'll be talking about this. So, equal distance. That's what initiation does. It takes you out of your condition and places you as your true self. It takes you out of your condition and it places you as your true self, which is unconditioned, full of potential and all possibilities. Y'all follow? Now here's the part that was gonna blow your mind. I think it'll blow your mind. So now let's look at this in the context of split. Let's look at our Orisha in the context of split. Right? Let's look at the Netaru within the context of split. Right? Let's look at this. Let's think about if I am approaching a situation where I know the most beneficial way for me to be is very martial and detached and ready for war, and I know a particular chant that I can sing, I know particular foods that I can eat, I know certain colors I can wear, I know certain oils I can put on me to bring me closer to this energy before going in that situation, I just flip the script. If I know that going in this meeting, coming in like this is going to create great defensiveness, but instead I should be more yielding and watertight, I might need to call on, depending on what type of water I'm looking for, I might need to call on Heterobo Shun, I might need to call on Yemen Yalase to get into the proper personality. Y'all with me?
Yeah.
This is our spiritual science.
Right.
This is our African psychology. The ability to master yourself to the point to where you can manipulate yourself, to the point to where your will is only second to whatever it is that gave you your will in the first place. Do y'all get that?
Okay.
Your will is superior to everything except that which gave you the will. Now what you looking like?
God.
What you said?
God.
God. Big G or little G, I don't care. Whichever one you most comfortable with. Say again. Little G, cool. Anybody got Big G out there? Big G?
I'm Big G.
Big G, Big G.
Capital G-O-D.
Capital G, capital O, and capital D.
That's right.
All of the above. I know, man. That's why I call that. Say anybody got anything else? Because my philosophy is this: whatever floats your boat or finds your lost remote.
Say that last one again.
Whatever floats your boat or finds your lost remote. That's Andre 3000, the great philosopher.
All right, that's right. I like that.
The great philosopher Andre 3000.
Right.
But it's real. Imagine that, though. I mean, really. So if any of y'all have been in an African ritual, and the priests and the priestesses, quote unquote, get possessed. If you're in Vodun, they get mounted, right? Yeah. If you in Osiris, said they're carrying, right? I done seen a brother, true story. These high priests, we have been on them all night. Marshall, I mean, they number brothers in there, we got machetes, you know, we eat raw onions, eating raw garlic, we just get clean. This brother, he was totally entranced, totally carrying Heru Kahudi. There was this big old, like iron pot, you know those iron pots? You call it a ting and a king. And he got down on his hands. He did a handstand over this pot, lowered himself down in it, and his legs like kind of curved back. It would seem to be physically impossible. He stayed in there forever. And it's like incense burning in this joint too. So I'm like, dude, you breathing? And then he raised, after a while, he just raised himself back out of the mud. His legs are up in the air. So he pushed himself up out of it, came back down and kept dancing with machetes. Totally carrying this energy. Totally. We were up all night, literally. By the time the community came into the ritual, we had been ritualizing for a good 12 hours at that point. The last frontier is the reclamation, the reclaiming of our African spiritual traditions without apology. Think about it. They kicked our ass.
Right.
They did. They are kicking. What do we have? Say it again. We have restraint or we're being restrained.
Right.
It's like humble, humility, and humiliate all got the same root.
Humiliated, right?
They all got the same root. It's a very thin line in there. So yes, we absolutely have restraint. My question is, why are we so restrained?
Right.
Why? Is it because we're just such good-natured people?
No.
Not what I know. Not when we got something like a Heru Kahudi and the Ogun that we could call them. They exist for reasons.
Daddy Kofi.
Scorpion will sting your ass. It ain't mad at you. It's just doing what it do. Drink some poison, drink some bleach and see if it don't burn you up. The bleach ain't mad at you.
Right.
It's doing what it do. On the Amistad, and you see that brother digging with his nail, pulling that junk about the floor. Y'all think that when they was dancing and drumming and stuff, they was just, you know, doing a stanky leg or something?
Right.
No! Them brothers was ritualizing. They was calling on manifestations of that martial energy which was necessary to take over. That's why we got mumble mouth rap right now. But Dr. Wells said, boom, 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 and she do that. Noise, boom, 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 she do that. Our music is noise. Our children are being flooded with this stuff. Why? Because it keeps them distracted. It keeps them from being focused. It keeps them from being able to call on any of this. It keeps them from even knowing that this stuff exists.
Right.
Think about that. Y'all seen that Sprite commercial? I know you have. LeBron James. And that dude, Lil Yachty. And they go like zoom into the Ice Cube. He said, cool like Minnesota. You know, like playing the piano. And they go, ah. And everybody starts singing high pitch. If you haven't seen it, you're fortunate.
Ain't seen it.
It's some trash. But that's what's being pumped right now. And it's only because we're vulnerable. You get sick when your immune system is down. Right? Our immune system is down. In fact, I think we got an autoimmune disease collectively. Meaning that we can't recognize our own body. And so we attack it. Y'all get it?
Wow.
Question.
Down is forward. Yes, ma'am.
The colors, are they the elements?
No, ma'am. That's just kind of, I took some artistic
Decorative?
liberties.
Okay.
So, so the colors like here, number 9 I said it's gonna be like blue and green, ocean type colors.
Okay.
You got Sebek is gonna be like, we call it saffron, it's yellow. I'm sorry.
Is this inverted?
Inverted?
You said 9
Say it again. No, please. Because if you got the question, somebody else do too.
Right. Speak up.
Okay. So no, it's not inverted. It's not inverted. What you do have is situations where you see a tree within a tree, and you see like 4 of them stacked on top of each other sometimes. Like, and then what you like, for example, if we could zoom in into the Herukudi's 5th sphere, we would see a whole nother one of these in there. You see what I'm saying? But it's not inverted.
Let's go back. Explain this. What you want to get from
What I want y'all to get from this is the fact that we've got multiple aspects of ourselves. And it's called Neteru in some traditions, it's called Orisha, it's called Wa, you know, whatever, it's called angels, archangels.
Archetypal psychology.
These are all aspects of ourselves that we can learn to understand and then master to the point where we can manifest it at any given moment, at any given time. So each one is also called Kabbalah. You see this under Kabbalah sometimes. But each one of these carries its own characteristics and attributes. Mental characteristics and attributes, physical, physiological characteristics and attributes, right? It covers the entire gamut. And so if you, for example, was manifesting Heru, or let's say Oshun or Heru, you know, then you're easygoing, you know, you're flexible, you're social, you're dealing with social harmony. You flip that to Heru Kahudi, you're very detached and you'll cut somebody's head off. You follow what I'm saying? Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Could you say again what you said about autoimmune disorder?
Yes, ma'am. So I think that we're suffering from an autoimmune disease, meaning that we cannot recognize our own body, and so we're attacking. Yes, ma'am.
I actually wanted to share and point out that these particular names might be unfamiliar to some folks. However, it's also interesting that if we put Greek similar names around these particular energies, they would probably be more familiar to most of us. Right. So if we talked about Thor, if we talked about Aphrodite, if we use some of those names and the characteristics and the personalities and the energies associated with them, unfortunately, more of us have been familiar with them because, one, you're allowed to talk about them.
Right. Have movies and everything.
Two, we're not, besides this is rarely taught in our communities, it's also something that we've been socialized and educated not to talk about. So if you mention anything that has to do with African spirituality, the first folks, you know, things are going to say, devil worship and things of that sort, and not really get to the truth about anything. So I just wanted to mention that those names could be associated with some of the, quote, Greek pantheons and things like that, and some of the personalities you might be more familiar with. So that's what that is.
And here's a direct example. So you see Heru, Hercules.
Right.
Right? Sebet, you're looking at Mercury. Right? And you can do that for each and every one of them. Yes, ma'am.
Where is a resource where we can understand what those
Excellent
things
question.
mean?
And so this particular configuration, as it exists right here, you're going to find that in the Medu Netter Volume 1. Raw Net for a minute.
I'm sorry.
Netter, volume.
Yes, ma'am. The Medu Netter Volume 1. It's a book. M-E-T-U. And the second word is N-E-T-E-R. And that's Volume 1. Volume 1 and 2. Yes, so the first word is M-E-T-U. And the second word is Netter, N-E-T-E-R. Volume 1.
Okay.
Serious psychology textbook.
Those are the 12 Sephiroths, that's Kabbalah, right?
Say it again. Are there 12 Sephiroth in the Kabbalah?
Right. That you have, like Osar, those are still in the 12 Sephiroths, just, okay.
So it's the same. So like, for example, Amen would be Ayin, Sof, Er. And then we talk about Kether et Oser, right? We got Chakma and Bina, and so you go all the way down. And then what's not here is Da'ah, which is the hidden one, right? So this does align perfectly with the Kabbalah, the Hebrew Kabbalah. Yes, sir.
I'm more familiar with Orisha.
Yes.
So a lot of these names are somewhat new.
Okay, yeah, y'all will?
Not yet, I'm preparing.
Okay.
I will be crowning Elewa.
Nice.
So I'm in the Afro-Q. So I'm in preparation.
Nice.
So when Elegba calls me, I will go and crown.
So I'll show you something in a couple of slides dealing with Elegba. So, okay, so if we talk about the Orisha, there are correlations here for the Orisha as well. You know, I'm interchanging them sometimes as I'm talking, but they're there, like Shango, Heru, Ogun, Heru Kahudi, you know, Arumala, Atahudi, Yema Yado Set, right? Eshu, Legba, Sebek, right?
So that's a class in itself, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Yes, yes it is. Yes. Okay, I'll do it in a nutshell. I'm gonna talk like the dude at the end of the commercial telling you the side effects. Yes, okay. All right.
Can you speak louder?
Yes. And if I go low again, call me out. So you're looking at our set, that's the motherhood, nurturing, all right? Gestation deals with meditation, altered states of consciousness. We got Sebek. Sebek is very left-brained. Sebek is that dude that'll sell salt to a slug. Sebek will sell you oceanfront property in the middle of Colorado. And you think you got a deal, right? So Sebek is logical thinking, it's left-brained, right? It's information, very much informed, right? So you know people that are like that, very loquacious with their vocabulary, right? Cool. Heteru, number 7, as I said earlier, is kind of free-flowing. It's like the young lady type of energy. Heteru walks in the room and everybody watching like, dang, right? Very aesthetically pleasing. Looks good, smells good, tastes good, sound good, feel good, must be Heteru.
Oh, shoot.
Oh, shoot. Cool. All this in a nutshell. All deals with creative visualization, very creative. You know, people that are very artsy. And this is the reason why a lot of artistically inclined people can hardly get anything done. Because, I mean, so much in that mold. It's just hard to put that structure, that rigidness that's necessary to take it from the artistic expression to actual productivity. And that's why they got managers and stuff to do it. Right, come on, get this out. Let me promote this for you because you sit there and paint all day. Heru, very steadfast. The hawk is its symbol. If you notice, it's at the top of the pyramid. This is the peak of a pyramid. This is one side. This is another side. This is another side. That's the other side. So it's like very clear-sighted, clearly conscious, aware, leadership. It lines up with the will, you know, making decisions, those types of things. Head of household type of thing, man or woman. Managers, things like that. Heru Kahudi, as I said earlier, very detached, very fiery, very martial. So Heru Kahudi, a lot of people think that Heru Kahudi energy is that really wild out coming in. But Heru Kahudi in the balanced state is like a ninja. The ninja that came in, cut the person's head off, they still talking, don't even realize it happened until the head hit the floor.
Right.
That's supreme Heru Kahudi. You didn't even know what happened. It was that slick, it was that sharp, it was that calculated, it was that precisely executed. That's it in the balanced state. Maya, truth, balance, reciprocity, all other thing, right? But it's also dealing with interdependency. Also a great giver, right? One that's there to support anything that needs to be supported. I'm going really fast, it's all in a nutshell. So much more I can say about each one of these. Then Sekert, that's the older one. That's the slow mover. That's the one when you're trying to catch that train because you hear it coming on the platform, and there's an elder walking in front of you. And you dare not blow past. And if you do blow past, you probably fall down the escalator anyway. Right? You ever seen it happen? I had this dude, I had a dream one night, and white dude was chasing me. I didn't know what was happening. You know, it was a dream. I woke up scared, like white dude chasing me, oh my God. So the next day after class, I'm crossing the street and I just hear footsteps. I look back and white dude running up on me. He tripped straight off the curb and bust his mouth. Dang, I kept walking. Literally, dang, I kept walking. But Sekert is the one that'll stop you short like that. Sekert number is 13. And people think 13 is unlucky because it begins a new cycle, right? And based on our worldview, death is not the end, it's a new beginning.
Right.
So it's not scary for us. But Sekert governs the cemeteries and things of that nature, the gateway between life and death. Very slow movement, deep protracted thinking. If you're in the field of law, Sekert is like Supreme Court justice. None of the ones we know, but you know, in the perfect world, the Supreme Court justice, when Lady Justice don't got a blindfold on and a big ass sword. Who trusts that? Think about it. I'm standing here with a blindfold on, a big ass sword and the scale telling me I'm measuring something. And based on the outcome, judgment. Anyway, I'm going to talk about that. Sekert, we got Tahuti. which is wisdom. That's, again, that's elder, very wise, very learned, and whatever the subject matter is, very masterful type of individual, very insightful. Actually, don't got to think about it at all, right? That type of person that just knows stuff. It don't take them a whole lot of time to get that information for you. Even your moments of clarity, right? Our moments of clarity. You sitting somewhere, you was trying to figure something out, and poof, it just show up out the blue.
Right.
Right. That's that Tahuti piece. Tahuti is, you're trying to figure something out, and you turn on the TV, and it just so happen to be somebody on TV talking about what you're trying to figure out. That's that Tahuti piece. Man, I was trying to think of the name of that book. Man, this girl on the train next to me was reading that book.
Right.
That's that thing right there. Osir is like that unconditioned self. It's that one, it's like the sage, it's like that one who has embodied and mastered all these different levels. And now when they're moving through the world, one with the world, in it and also not of it. Y'all follow? So they're walking through, that's like when Jesus was resurrected. That's Jesus and came back. That's Heru. That's Heru resurrecting Osir. That's really what that is. When he brought his father back, right? Y'all follow? So that's it in a nutshell. Then Amen is just a state of energy. Energy, matter, consciousness, will. And Geb is all physical manifestation. Cool? All right. Moving along, class. Down this forward. So these are all personalities. Now, a lot of this stuff, I'm still wrestling with in my own mind. And so this is my perspective of what we're looking at here. When you look at people with the animal heads, in the ancient Egyptian or Kemetic scripture on the wall, writings on the wall, my understanding is that that human being has embodied the characteristics of whatever the animal is there. And so in this particular case, we're looking at Ampu, or Apua, is that jackal head, right? It's like that spirit of discernment, in other words. Y'all heard about that in church, right? We got to have a spirit of discernment. Look to your neighbor and say, spirit of discernment. Spirit of discernment. And it makes sense, because if the ears are up, very keen sense of hearing, keen sense of smell, keen sense of sight. But here's the other thing about Ampu, is that the jackal, you know how they eat their food? They bury it first, and they let it rot. They let it putrefy, right? And they dig it up at the right moment, they eat rotten food, right? And it also correlates, when you look at the 4 jars, the canopic jar, if I'm not mistaken, it's the one that deals with the digestive tract. Am I mistaken, Father? Anybody? Huh? Right. Okay, and so but I'm saying the one with the jackal on the top, Ramutep, I think it is. Is that the intestine? And so it's still that discernment piece. Because if you notice in the intestines, all along your intestinal wall are different receptor sites that are designed to pull in very specific nutrients at that particular site. So you got a spot that's, loosely vitamin C, vitamin B. You got different parts of the intestinal tract that's designed to pull up exactly what it needs. Flip that, African worldview. Your intestines are like the root system of plants that also go in and pour the exact nutrient that it needs out of the soil. Ain't that something? Right? And then your lungs are like the leaves. Exchanging oxygen, right, for carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, right? Pretty slick, ain't it?
Right.
Yeah. And so we got all these things. That's the as above, so below stuff. As within, so without. It all correlates like that. So I just want to point that out. So these are different personalities that we're looking at here. And they're being infused with Ankh Ma'at. So he's being infused with Ankh Ma'at of Ampu. He's being infused with Ankh Ma'at of Heteru, or Hathor. And that's Osir leading the way. I don't know if it's somebody on the other side of him or not. Down this forward. Let's go. When y'all look at this word emotion, what do you see?
Motion.
Motion, right? That movement, right? And so the E, to me, says energy. So emotions are energy that move, right? And so the same energy that's moving you towards sorrow is the same energy that moves you toward happiness.
Okay.
It's the same energy. It's just how you perceive whatever it is that moves the energy that determines how you, quote unquote, experience that energy. Y'all with me?
Yeah.
No.
Yes? And so when you're moving like that, so here's the way that I learned it from Shepherd Robin for a minute. You got this stained glass window, right?
Okay.
It's got 6 different color panes on it.
Right.
And you got this flashlight on this side. And when the flashlight goes through the glass, it's going to come out the 6 different colors. The light is the same light on this side, it's just been colored by that particular pane of glass.
Okay.
The same with your emotions and the energy that moves. Y'all got it? All right, and so with that, when you think about your different emotional states, when you think about you as an unconditioned individual, like on that Osir piece, then that means that you no longer are made to feel any way. You're now choosing to feel certain ways.
Okay.
Y'all get that? Most times when we don't choose, it's because we don't know we got a choice. We have no idea that we can choose. So for example, if I'm in the club, I got my brand new Yeezys on, and somebody come up and step on my foot and I shoot them,
Right.
and I'm mad. I'm pissed because somebody stepped on my shoe. That's a conditioned response, right? Because when a 2-year-old baby comes along and step on my same shoe, I'm not gonna kill the baby, but some
Right.
fools would, but you know, most wouldn't. So it's not that that automatically makes you angry. It was other things that contributed to the choice of reacting that way. Now, choice and reacting sounds like a contradiction, right? Choice, reaction. Because reaction usually you don't think.
Right.
But when you're going through initiation, you're slowing it down to the point where you are making choices in every moment of every day, right? Let's do
Conscious choice. Conscious choice.
conscious choice.
You're always making choices.
Always making choices.
Based on whatever your stuff is.
Yep, and
And
it's
your
conscious.
mindset.
And so
your
it's conscious and
viewpoint.
intentional choice.
Right.
Thank you, Doc.
The autoimmune disease.
Say it again.
That's the auto disease you were talking about.
Yes, sir. And
Conscious
so,
versus
just like some
subconscious.
people say that AIDS was created in a laboratory and given to us and them. Matter of fact, there's a documentary out where they talk about using the chimpanzee kidneys to create a polio vaccine, and then they injected sub-Saharan Africans with it, and all of a sudden HIV started popping up. And then the dude, I think he was like some Polish scientist, was like, I was never in the Congo. The dude showed him a picture like, that's you standing right there with a chimpanzee on your hip. Cut the camera off, cut the camera off. Alternative facts. You ever wondered why the Joker is the strongest card in the deck? Now, who are space players? Joker Deuce, Joker Ace, how y'all doing it? But the Joker is like the most powerful card in the deck, right?
Whiz, brother. Big whiz.
Bid with, see, I ain't never learned bid with.
Culturally.
I'm not that cultured. But we got this situation here to where we got this Joker. Why is the Joker the most powerful card in the deck? Manifest what it wants. Somebody said
Beats
something-
everything, doesn't he?
Huh?
Doesn't he beat everything?
Beat everything? Yeah, but in the context of emotion. Fool card. So what about the fool? The Joker. The trickster, the court jester, right? The ringmaster in the circus. The reason why they reign supreme is because they're manipulating and controlling the emotions of the people in the room. That's the comedian.
Right.
Got you cracking up laughing, got tears, you can't even see you laughing, crying and stuff. Got you right here in the palm of their hand. That's the Joker. Now, what else do you notice right now? Not too far, too fast. Huh. Can't make it up. It's also why before the ritual, we pay homage to Eshu.
That's right.
If we in the Kemetic sign, we pay homage to Sebek. I don't care if we bring it on Sarah Batala, I don't care who we bring it. You better check with this one first.
Oh, thank God.
I like, brother.
You better make sure that way is open.
That's right.
Because if you don't, all kind of stuff might go wrong. Why? He's coming for his. Anyway, y'all. When brothers fight to the death, a stranger inherits their property. When we don't have control of our emotions, for example, if I've mastered the emotion of anger, that means that I've mastered it here, I've mastered it here, I've mastered it there. I can piss you off and I can make you not mad anymore. Why? Because I've mastered anger wherever that energy manifests itself. Y'all follow? So the mastering of emotion, again, makes it such that you're no longer susceptible to the influence of other people or other things. It's a choice. You reign supreme. You got it? Sometimes you gotta get mad and knock somebody out. This is anger well channeled. You see, she got a baton in one hand and that right cross in the nose. Why are we so restrained? Ain't enough black love.
All right.
Brother Kaba, he asked me yesterday on the radio. He said, where does black love fit into all this thing about African psychology? I said, black love yourself. Black love yourself. Because if I don't love me, I'm coming to whatever situation with a whole lot of baggage.
Right.
With a whole lot of baggage, and it can't go good. Unless, of course, it's the baggage business that I'm walking into. Then I'm all good. Drama, right? Then it's all good. But anything healthy and productive, not likely. All right, let me push. I know I'm running against the clock. Consciousness. So, consciousness, as I define it, are variations in awakeness and awareness. Right? So it's the same word. Awareness, just change the R and put a K in. Y'all get it? Awareness, just flip the R into a K. So you got awareness and you got awakeness. Totally independent of each other. Y'all seen people knocked out sleep. So that means their awake is down, they're asleep. But you turn off the TV. What you doing? I was watching that. They was aware although they weren't awake. Right? Then you got folks that's wide awake but ain't aware of what's going on around them, right? Looking right at you. Don't see you. Right? Especially with these things.
Right.
I'm that dude that'll bump into you. I see you coming staring at your phone. I'm gonna scoot over and run right into you. Just for the point of it. Oh, my bad. You good? All right, yeah, you might want to look up while you walk.
Right.
Wide awake but ain't aware. You got stuff going on all around you but ain't aware. Awakeness and awareness, all right? Cool, let's push. Falsification of African consciousness. This brother Angus Wilson. He's a Heru Kahudi Ogun energy. Very fiery, very unapologetic, very much so. So I got a quote I got on the slide here. When we're talking about reclaiming ourselves, when we're talking about increasing consciousness, it's more than just information that we're talking about. We're literally talking about resurrecting ourselves. We're literally talking about waking ourselves up, going from that dead to that living perpendicular. Y'all follow? That's that resurrection piece. Resurrection is very real. Like, I've been resurrected. You know, not just through my initiations, but in life in general. So to rediscover one's history is not only an act of self-discovery, it's an act of self-creation, a resurrection from the dead, tearing away of the veil, a revelation of the mystery. So the history and the manipulation of time. So this is dealing with consciousness. I'm going to read a little bit of this. He talks about how this dude, this researcher, was hypnotizing students in his study. And he hypnotized the students to think that their past was gone. So he says, when I awake you, the past will be gone. Dr. Bernard Aronson of the New Jersey Neuropsychiatric Institute told a deeply hypnotized college student. When a post-hypnotic suggestion took hold, the student became drowsy and infantile, losing both memory and the powers of speech. So when he cut off the person's past, they became infantile, right? Y'all seen infantile adults, right? You know, not necessarily invalid, but infantile as in not in control of their emotion, right? Very childish in their expressions. Okay, where does our past begin, right? They cut off thousands and thousands of years of it and subject us to plantation forward, no, shift forward, right? It affects you, so then he goes forward. So now they're going to cut off the present and they're going to cut off the future for these people. Aronson gave some subjects post-hypnotic suggestions that eliminate their past, present, or future. He gave others a vastly expanded past, present, or future. The consequences were profound. This is an Almanac magazine. With no future, people feel a loss of identity and a euphoric, mystical sensation, free of both anxiety and motivation. One student found himself in a boundless, imminent present. Expanding the future, on the other hand, canceled all fears of death and induced serenity, contemplation, and a feeling of self-fulfillment. Now let's look at that in the context of our youth that's running around right now, totally afraid for their lives. Think about the mother who's worried about their child leaving the house every day because they think a cop is going to kill them, right? Let's think about the folks that's living in gang-infested territory, always hearing gunshots, always listening to music where people are getting murdered or talked about being murdered, and it cuts off their sense of a future, right? And so that makes them very lethargic in the present, meaning it makes them seem to be helpless and hopeless to where they don't want to do anything other than get high and hang out. Y'all seen this before, right? There's nobody in here, but them folks on U Street right now, I bet money. That was a joke. Dang, y'all hard crowd. Being robbed from the past brought on a semi-infantile torpid state, and the students with a dilated past became egocentric and inhibited. So canceling the present was the most disturbing, however. One subject turned catatonic. Others became severely depressed and almost schizophrenic. Stopping subjective time altogether produced an eerie sensation of death. The world moves on, but I don't, one student observed. The manipulation of consciousness is very, very real. It's very, very real, and it impacts how you move on a day-to-day basis. If what we think is conscious, like by the way, how they talk about hoteps and stuff now, I despise that. Calling calling people who are pretending to be conscious hoteps, is bastardizing the very high principles that our ancestors hold dear, right? And that's like how all of a sudden, like this Islamic State is called ISIS.
Right.
That's right.
That's an English acronym. Quit playing. You folks speak Arabic.
Right.
Anyway, we talk about that. Who know what this scene is? Say it again. Elevation of New. So we got Gab down here on the floor, chilling. We got New right here, right? And we got Shu right here, right? And so when I was meditating on this symbol, here's what I saw, is that Gab deals with your lower self, not your like lower self like a bad self. It's your lower self like a physical, more dense, more concrete self. New deals with your higher self, or the higher aspects of your spirit, you know, the deeper aspects of yourself. And Shu being the one that separates it, like the atmosphere. To me, this is a formula. And it's showing us that by controlling our breathing, right? By controlling breath, that's one mechanism by which you can unite heaven and earth again. Your higher self and your lower self again. Now check this out. You can breathe without thinking about it, right? In fact, it's an automatic process. Most important things are. Because if we had to depend on you to keep you breathing, most of us would be dead right now. We forget, we're so distracted by other stuff. Like, if it was up to our conscious minds to digest our food, we'd be dead, right? We're too busy watching love and hip-hop or whatever's on, whatever those shows, reality, fake reality TV, scripted reality. So all these automatic processes are usually the most important things that your body needs, right? But breathing is one of the few that you can consciously control and consciously manipulate. Ain't that something? Hence why it's so important. So you got all these different breathing techniques like Nadi Madi Shudi, all these different things. We dual nostril breathing, right? We got all these different yoga postures, yoga systems like yoga skills with Yasir. We got all these different techniques that have come from the ancients to our modern time that can help us to reunite our higher selves, those top part of the tree, wisdom, that unconditioned self, you know, that Mayat piece, with the lower selves, with the emotions. You know, we put the emotions under the control of wisdom, right? You put your identity under the control of your God self. Y'all get it?
Right.
You put your thought processes under the control of wisdom and justice. Y'all get it?
Right.
And so when you learn to control the quote-unquote animal or animating aspects of yourself, then you're more capable of living as your divine self. Because doesn't your book tell you that ye are gods?
Right.
Written in red. Consciousness, if you've seen it before, don't answer. Who's seeing the FedEx logo for the first time right now? Good, I didn't think so. Who's noticing the arrow in the FedEx logo for the first time right now? Some still don't see it yet. Ain't it the truth? Don't tell them where. Ain't it crazy? Dick Gregory showed me this. I was taking him back to the airport in Nashville one time. You know, he gets amp sometimes. He was like, hey, you seen that arrow in the FedEx logo? I'm like, dude. No, man, there's a FedEx truck in front of us. And so he pointed it out right there. Ain't that crazy? Been there. I ain't just do this.
Right.
Been there. Why would that be there? Why is it there? That's the question. It's for a reason. What are arrows that give you the idea of what?
Direction.
It's moving. And it's in the direction, right? And it's in the word express, right? Express. So what about the Fed part? Why is there? Huh? Make it sound official, right? There ain't nothing federal about it, other than the name. But FedEx, so it's all in it. But that's consciousness. So we see this jump all the time. And we're influenced by it all the time. But we don't necessarily see what we're looking at all the time.
Right.
I was walking to class one day, I was teaching at Howard, and you know that crack Donald's right down there?
Right.
And so there was like the semi truck there. You know, I had the little billboard on the side of the truck, and it was like this burger. And the burger was a face. I mean, the joint was a face. It had like the pickle was curled up like an eye. The cheese was a tongue hanging out the mouth. One bun was slid back like an open mouth. Other bun was up like the top of the head. And it was like, it was something like good food on the double. So it looked like it was moving really fast and the wind was blowing this burger apart, but it was a face. So me being Hawaiian, I pulled out my phone. I'm like, man, let me get a picture of this. So the dude that drive the truck, his name happened to be Jeff too. He said, man, what are you up to? I said, bro, you see this on the side of your truck? So I showed him the face on the side of his truck. He couldn't believe it. So I took it to class and showed my psychological testing students this picture. And one of them, well, I go with it. So they talk crazy to me. They talk real bad like I was tripping. Like read too much into it. One dude even said, it's like looking up at a cloud and seeing the state of Idaho. You know, just making stuff up. I said, no, it's there. It's marketing. So I called McDonald's. And McDonald's, they wouldn't give me the name of the artist. And they wouldn't tell me any information about it. Because I was trying to dig. I wanted to show and prove. I don't know what I was looking at.
You got a picture for us?
I do have a picture, but I don't have it in this presentation. I know, right? My bad. And you can't even Google it and find it. I do have a picture, though. Consciousness. This is true, this is true, this is the truth. So, we got this thing now where we're talking about my truth. My truth. My understanding is that, my understanding is that the truth is not personal at all. Right? The truth don't need nobody to believe it for it to be true. Let me back way out. Let me get Mr. Fuller on y'all real quick. Y'all should say, how do you define the truth, Dr. Menzise? So I define the truth as that which is. So they said, Dr. Menzise, what's your definition of truth? That which is. Which means that if it is, then it's true. If it ain't, then it ain't. You got it? And so you don't have to believe it for it to be. Right? You don't have to have the equipment to even register it for it to actually be there. Y'all following? And so all too often we get in an argument about stuff, personal stuff, and not necessarily dealing with what the truth is. And we say there are no absolutes. Nothing is what it is. Ain't we all in this room right now? Mm-hmm. We think so, right? You think so. It's a heck of a dream.
We think we're in this room.
We think we're in this room, Inception style. But this is just a matter of perspective. And consciousness is the factor behind how you perceive certain things. Remember, awareness and awakeness, independent of each other. So if you think that reality is only tangible things, that client that comes to you and said that they smelled their grandfather's cigar and he's been dead for 10 years, you would say that they're hallucinating. But if you're of the orientation in the worldview that says that energy is neither created nor destroyed and spirit is energy, then that means it just changed forms. And granddaddy's cigar smell could actually be in the room. That could be granddaddy. What's up, young? Right? Worldview, consciousness. What do you think reality is? Unfortunately, they're the ones defining it for us, and it keeps us limited. It keeps us Clark Kent and not Kal-El. We lost our God name. Consciousness.
Talk about it.
So we got a situation to where, to me, it would seem like a public lynching.
Mm-hmm. That's what it was.
You know, I can't think what Mr. Fuller called it, but it's something where they're going to take and give people like this elevation, and it's always calculated to make them fall hard in front of everybody. Like, it was crazy because I think Bill Cosby was on the Bernie Mac show one day or something, and my little girl was watching it, and she saw Cosby and she got nervous. I know it's Bill Cosby. I'm like, I dropped the ball. My wife shed a tear. She had one single tear. Like, I grew up on the Cosby show in a different world. I went to HBCU. But we got to understand, we got to understand there's always a bigger game being played. It's always chess and not checkers. It's always chess and not checkers. No, I'm going to go too much further. Consciousness. We got a situation where being smart is acting white. We got children being teased for being intelligent by small-brained individuals. Y'all see that?
Okay.
Little pea-brains. I'm clowning this one. It's just because his identity is warped. You're not even aware of what he has, the capability of that. Whose fault is that? Whatever adults are supposed to be there handling that, down is full.
Whoa.
Consciousness. Being aware of what's taking place right in front of your face.
Ouch.
This one right here. So, they actually had ship packers. People whose job it was to be able to align the human cargo in such a way to maximize occupancy.
Right.
Yeah, they do. It was a schematic. It was a schema. It was like the blueprint. You stack them like this, and you get more, even with the ones that's going to die.
Right.
This ensure the survival of a certain number,
Right.
that you can maintain a certain product ratio. It was true, and Willie Lynch didn't write it. The brother out of South Carolina claimed, the brother from South Carolina, he's a non, he claimed responsibility for it. But the principle, the psychological principle is absolutely true. This is real. They got these slave retreats that take place. Y'all heard of it? No.
What?
Homework. Google slave retreats. Do it when you get home. Don't do it now. Yeah, it's when folks go and be auctioned off and treated like they're an enslaved African.
Oh, hell.
They have slave
Right there.
retreats.
Yeah, right there.
What time reference we talking?
Say it again.
What time reference we talking?
Time reference?
Now.
Yeah, it's 2000s. Really? Come on. Don't believe me? Look it up. You know, the prerequisite of passing the course is not to believe you. You don't have to believe me. All right, we got to move a little forward. Move back. Our ancient traditions are timeless. There's no beginning and no end. Like Mama Marimba said, let the circle be unbroken. Right? We've got these two ways that time moves. Three really, but the one is linear, straightforward, and then we got the circular, right? Round and round and round. What Joy say? Joy DeGruy, she say, if I don't get you today, I see you mañana, right? So, but if you think about it, when you put the two together, you have a spiral, right? You put a straight line with a circle, now you have a spiral, which to me is more in line with what reality is.
Right.
Meaning that I would never get this moment back, but tomorrow there would be at 8 o'clock at night.
Right, right.
So it's still moving forward, but it's the same point going forward. Y'all follow that?
Yeah.
And so with that understanding of spiral time, yes, we are advancing, but yes, we are still following the same path that our ancestors laid for us. Which means that the stuff that worked yesterday, it still works today, but there might be another way to do it and get the same results. Y'all follow? And so our spiritual technology is constantly advancing, but in order to understand what's even possible, we've got to know what our ancestors was doing.
Right.
As much as possible. And fortunate for us, we still have unbroken lineages in certain spiritual traditions. Like you got folks who can trace their Ifa lineage all the way back into Nigeria, and they can trace it all the way back and all the way back until they cross from East to West Africa. Right? The same with the Khan. We have spiritual traditions that can still trace their lineage way back unbroken, bringing forth the wisdom and the tools to our modern times for us to use and for us to benefit off of. But we got to get baby white Jesus out the way. We got to get that baby white Jesus out the way.
Right.
He was flying around yesterday shooting arrows at folks. Isn't that crazy? Just butt naked midget shooting arrows at you. Come on. Yes, sir.
Define spiritual technology.
Okay, good question. So he wants me to define what spiritual technology is. Spiritual technology is the ability to use your spiritual tools to affect reality, to affect physical manifestation, mental manifestation, also the spiritual manifestation.
The spiritual tool being
So spiritual tools like meditation, visualization, certain breathing techniques, the combining of certain physical elements with an intention to make it affect things in a particular way. So when I say spiritual technology, it's mostly the unseen technology. It's the unseen energy that moves things, intentionally and unintentionally, I guess. So our stuff still exists. When I look at, like, I love when our spiritual coalitions come together here in DC area, right? It's a beautiful thing, right? The old Sarah said, you know, we're doing a purification. We got that going on, right? Then we got the brothers with the drum deal. We got we got the Akam, we got the Vodun, we got the Ifa, we got the Kemetic, we got everybody coming together. And what I see is are pieces of the puzzle, like the story of Osir, right? Where the truth is broken up and scattered. And we all are finding our way to claim different parts of it. And so that's why I make no apologies, you know, being initiated in several traditions. I've had people say, you can serve only one God. So I do only serve one God. It's infinite though.
Right.
I act like because I got a leke on, I can't rock my uchat too. You know? I act like because I'm rocking a uchat, I can't become initiated as a 32nd degree mech. I don't get it.
Right.
You know? There is no contradiction for me.
Right.
Because it's all universal.
Right.
Right? These are our ancient traditions, and until we start to reclaim this stuff, I'm telling y'all, we will not go platinum. It won't work.
Right.
It will not work. We still go to church. Just know that ain't no
all the
baby
same
white
thing.
Jesus.
Right,
Do it
right,
wasn't
right,
white.
right.
If he was. Look at the jewels. Look at how it correlates with our African spirituality. That's what, if you're in the mosque, keep going to the mosque. But also look into Sufism. Look into the spiritual aspect of Islam. And how them folks is making charms and working that juju. I sat in the compound again, a number of ants, folding them up in parchment paper that he just wrote in Arabic and stuffed it down in a round form, covered it with a red piece of silk, sewed a piece of kabi on there, put it on your arm, and now metal can't pierce your body. I sat there and watched it being made and tested it on me. Straight up daggers. Would not break my skin. Razor blade. take a branch, shave the branch with this razor blade, and then rub it across your skin, it won't break. Your eyelid won't break, your tongue won't cut. Yeah. That's where I learned about how the Haitian Revolution was so successful.
Right.
That's when I learned about that. The brother told me. He said, no. This is the science.
Right.
Because if you think about it, it's virtually impossible for that to have won.
Right.
Just like it's virtually impossible for them folks to conquer the entire continent just off of physical might.
Right.
No.
No using voodoo.
They work in their juju.
Right.
Look up, what is it, homework, Berlin Conference, I think it was. So right before the Berlin Conference, a lot of the European secret societies relocated to the same place. And they held their conference before going in and partitioning Africa. You could think they outwitted some folks. You could think that they went in there because they had guns and
No,
war.
they did that. No,
They were working their magic.
that's true.
Harry Potter, what do they call human beings that don't know magic? Muggles.
Muggles.
It's in Webster's dictionary. Y'all muggles or not? Don't be caught being a muggle. That's a joke. But it's serious too.
It's
Don't
true.
be caught being a muggle. A muggle is a human being that don't know magic. Jesus was magic. He broke fish and fed the multitude. He turned water into wine.
Right.
Dude walking on water.
And walk, that's
What y'all
right.
talking about? Them folks was coming to attack Jesus. He disappeared. Y'all better quit playing.
Right.
He knew magic. Moses knew magic.
That's
He was
right.
learning in all the ways of Egypt. And it was good.
So true.
Y'all better quit playing. Yes, ma'am.
And as recent, well, I won't say recent, but President Obama in his first term, after he was elected in Inauguration Day, his family in Africa sacrificed a calf. And they celebrated it. And Western America thought it was a party, but actually what they did was that they did animal sacrifices for his protection.
They did a ritual.
And it was a party.
That's why they
Partied afterwards.
They did a ritual. They're ritualized. Been there, done that.
Fed everybody that goes.
Yes, prophetic dreams. So we got people that are dreamers. Lucid dreamers, people that remember their dreams and see things in their dreams and they come manifest. So I don't know if you were here when they had the tree of life up, but that's like the offset energy. That's that motherly energy, you know? They're very intuitive, very insightful. Got them dreams, you know it's gonna pop, you know the number, you know the Powerball gonna be, you know somebody in 2 states away, nephew, hey, don't go to that party. So yeah, those types of things, absolutely. That's our spiritual technology, that's our spiritual science, and we should be very unapologetic about it. And one thing that Baba Wade Noble says, in one of his chapters, I think it's the Voodoo IQ paper that he wrote, maybe that one was the one about Egyptian thought and how it affects African psychology, one or the other. He talks about how the quote-unquote field of parapsychology is the field of psychology that should interest us the most as African people. Because it's that aspect of psychology, it's a para, meaning it ain't quite psychology, it's a round psychology, right? It's pseudo, right? But it's the one that deals with ESP. It's the one that deals with psychokinesis, right? And I've got probably about 15 books on this stuff that I've been studying. Even they got these cards that train you to be like psychic, what shape is on the other side of this card. All of these studies were being done at like Stanford, at the Stanford Research Institute. You got a lot of Russian studies. It's a book called Behind the Iron Curtain.
That's right.
Beyond the Iron
Psychic
Curtain.
discoveries behind that.
Discoveries behind, thank you, Mom. Discoveries behind the Iron Curtain. And it details all of this research. That movie with the men who stare at ghosts. Y'all remember that movie?
Yeah.
They made it like a joke, but that was a real division in the U.S. Army where they were dealing with parapsychology. That's the area that should interest us the most because it's the one that's closest to the actual definition of psychology, which is the study of the soul. Reclaiming Our Stolen Legacy. That's my baby girl. She swears she was reading that book.
She was.
She saw her mama reading it, so that's what happened, right? And that book right there, that's a really dense book. Anybody ever read her book? Ooh. Both volumes. Ain't it something, Baba? So her book, the first one is called The Living Face of Ancient Egypt, and then the second volume is Egyptian Initiate. So what happens is that the way that the author, Aisha Schwaller-Delubics, wife to R.A. Schwaller-Delubics, the one dude that busted open the idea that the Egyptian temples, the Kemetic temples, were laid out like the human body. I mean, it's deep stuff. But anyway, his wife, she was there with him. So what she does in this book is she makes you take the perspective of a young child. Because the main character is a young child, and he's literally gaining wisdom that's written on the wall in the temples. It's slick. And it's in narrative form. And so like he gets his butt kicked sometimes because he got a mouth on him. He always gets swift kicked and stuff when he acting out of line and all that stuff. But it's excellent story. Excellent is levels to this book. If you don't get no book I showed today, get her Bible. And then there's another book, it's smaller, but it's denser. It's called The Opening of the Way. Also by Aisha Swallow Lucas. And she takes the wisdom out of the narrative and puts it in very straight scientific language. Really dope. So anyway, we got to reclaim this stuff, y'all. It's for us to reclaim. It's for us to reclaim. Our modern initiations, they exist. The first thing that we must do is not apologize. We need to ask for forgiveness. Ask for forgiveness from our ancestors. Those that struggled and died trying to maintain their African identity. Somehow we've forgotten about that. Not saying like we know that it existed, but the impact of that, the impact of us losing our understanding of God, the impact of us losing our understanding of self and nature, right? They replaced it with an empty form. They took God out of you and put it up in the sky some damn way.
Right.
And you're supposed to just wait and wait on it.
Right.
And wait some more.
Right.
What fail I say, suffering and smiling. Suffer for a world, enjoy for heaven. Yes? They got us, y'all. We got to reclaim this. You ain't got to. It would be in your best interest to reclaim it. Get your spiritual tools. Keep going to church. Ask Pastor Massa. Ask him. Ask Pastor Massa. Where was Jesus between the ages of 12 and 30?
Right.
If they're going to be honest, they'll say, I don't know.
Yeah. How about 1 to 12?
Right, 1 to 12 too, right? So there's, okay, in the Apocryphal Bible, there's a book of Jesus talking about when he's a little boy. There's a little mischievous little thing too in this story. He like killed somebody, didn't he?
Yeah, threw him off the roof.
Threw him off the roof. He was going hard as a baby. Anyway, let me move. Hey, we running out of time. Let me fast forward really, really quick. Bobby, you show that, don't you? I'm just gonna get all the way to the end, y'all. So we have a little bit of time for Q&A. That was those canopic jars. This is what I was telling you about Bobby Tip with the deals with digestion.
What are you keeping them?
Now, it's really slick because this is a judgment scene right here.
Yeah.
They claim this is a judgment scene. If you notice those 4 sons of Heru right there, and so this is your divine self, Hosea. This is your highest self as I've come to know it. And so you're presenting yourself in front of yourself, right? And so that's why, so when you talk about the 42 declarations of Ma'at, the way that some people work it is that in the morning you wake up and say, I will not these things. And then at night going to bed, you say what you have not, right? So you're testing yourself every day. So every night you're judging you because you are the only one that can really judge you because you're there 24/7, 365 with you, right? And it's really slick. The way I come to understand this is that these are your organs telling on you. But you notice they standing here with the judge looking at you. They ain't with you looking at the judge being judged too. They looking at you like, huh? You know, so your stomach talking about, yeah, they stuff you with hog and pig. Think about it. And so they said we worship. Think about what better thing to worship than your heart? What better thing to worship than your lungs that's been breathing in oxygen for you all this time? Right? This is not insanity. This is right and exact. It's better than worshiping something you ain't never seen and they never did nothing for you that you know of, right? True or false? It ain't even worshiping, it's honoring.
Right.
Anyway, let me keep moving. I know. Hey, stop me whenever. Just cut it off.
Whoa,
Just
go
pull
back.
the plug. I know, right?
Yeah.
Right there? Nation of gods and earth. So we've got examples, y'all. We got examples of all these elements. We got the martial energy. We got the example of all of this stuff. Am I going the wrong way? All right, I'll stop right here. So this is a child sitting at, I think it's supposed to be like one of the pharaohs as a child sitting at the feet of Horus or Heru, the horse. He's sitting like this. You know, some say that that's a symbol of being initiated. He's learning. My stepfather used to tell me all the time, say, you can't talk and listen at the same time, right? So he's sitting there like this, receiving instruction. This is what our babies need to understand, is that the world is their classroom. Our ancestors have long paved the way for us. It is up to us to unapologetically take steps towards reclaiming this, to whatever degree you can. And continue to live your life in your own comfort zone. But I'm begging you all, do something in this direction. This is our salvation, the reclaiming of our African spiritual traditions. And there's a whole bunch of them to claim. You got a bunch to choose from. But at the core, it's the same worldview. At the core, it's the same underlying message. At the core, it's the same process and movement. Choose the one you want, but choose one. I really appreciate y'all attention, Brother Tony. Thank you for this.
So, thank you all for coming out.